Hi subscribers, how is everybody? We're doing a Instagram subscriber only live right now, and this is for the subject of persisting, what that looks like, what that means, and how to choose yourself. If you've ever heard this terminology like choose you, choose your dream, choose what it is that you want, and you're like, what does that even mean? I remember a long time ago, I was like, what does that mean? Choose myself or choose love. This is going to be a deep dive on that today. Hello, everybody. And the reason I'm doing this one right now is the word persisting was not a word that I used until it became kind of more popularized in the manifesting community. I didn't use it personally. I didn't use it with my clients. It's a very popular word now, especially within the YouTube manifesting community. And it's interesting because sometimes I feel like the word persisting feels like, it has like a behind it in my system. And I don't want other people to necessarily relate to it that way either, when I was able to translate that into something else for myself and see it kind of as more of a positive about choosing myself, that I'm the one who's worth it. And I talked about that in some short videos I've had on both Instagram and YouTube before, where it's like, we think that the manifestation is worth it. The job, the relationship, the money. Yeah, of course it's worth it. But persisting became easier for me, and the term became easier for me and more positive when I was like, wait, I'm worth it. Yeah, it's worth it. That thing I want is worth it, but I'm worth it. I'm persisting for me. It's easier to persist for yourself when you know it's because you're doing it for you versus I'm doing it for that thing. Because then it just feels like sometimes that thing can end up on a pedestal and you're just like trying to get it, where it's like, no, I'm on a pedestal too. So if you've also heard the pedestal terminology, I'm from the camp of leave it on the pedestal and raise yourself up to meet it, or acknowledge that you're already there versus trying to tear down the thing you want to not be on the pedestal. I personally haven't had good luck with that. Because sometimes I've seen people, when they try to take something off the pedestal, they don't want it anymore, or they use judgment to do that. And again, there's no right or wrong in any of these things, but it's understanding that you want something because you love it. you love that thing. You love the idea of that money. You love the idea of the relationship. You love the idea of the job, the career, the satisfaction, the lifestyle, whatever it is, right? The family, the car, the vacation. And so trying to take it off the pedestal by diminishing it kind of defeats the purpose, in my personal opinion. There's a lot of different perspectives, and all perspectives are valid. But the way that I teach it is you want to keep it on the pedestal, the thing that you want, because you love it. Like, you want to enjoy it when you get there, and raise yourself up. And so we're going to talk about persisting from a different point of view than just like persist, like it'll happen. Like, just that feels exhausting for a lot of people. I've done it. And it's painful sometimes, and it's not fun sometimes, but there is a softer way to persist. And so we've talked a lot in the subscribership. We've done a lot of deep dives and on different things. We've done the one on focusing. We've done one on releasing need and releasing resistance and circumstances. And we've done all these different really cool deep dives. This particular one is going to be about making choices when you're not getting that instant result, when you're not seeing transformation happen quickly, when you are in a position where it seems like you have to persist. So we're going to deep dive on that in here, because some things you're going to put your attention on, and they're going to happen very easily. They're going to happen the same day. They're going to happen the same week. You're going to think about them once or twice, and poof, they're going to manifest. We all have a variety of those things in our life, and those are fun and wonderful. And I like to say people don't come to manifesting content. They don't come to coaches. They don't come to these deep dives to learn how to do that. They're already doing that. They're coming because they want something that isn't happening that way. You know, it's like, why is it working over here so easily? But the thing that I really want, it's something else is going on. And so that's where persistence and persisting comes in. I like to think of persisting as just continuing to choose it. It's a choice. As you know, I'm going to talk for a couple minutes before I start answering questions. I see all your questions. A choice is between two things. So I have a lead bar, gold bar video a lot of you may have seen before. I don't have them with me here in Hawaii, but they're at my place back on the East Coast. So I'm going to use the orange and the blue ball for the same thing here. So the orange is going to be the gold and this is going to be the lead. So the gold, if I said manifest gold and I held them both up, you would literally just grab the orange one. You would just grab it, right? And you wouldn't pay much attention to this. But if I said, you know, manifest gold, you only saw this one, you may be like, how do I turn that into gold? It's like the age-old alchemist thing, which, by the way, they actually did just succeed in doing that. See, all things are possible. Someone just asked, are all things possible? Yeah, they literally just turned lead into gold in like Switzerland or Germany or something. And on accident. I don't think they were trying to do it. So yeah, even if it's illogical. So also to answer that question, because I did see it, just because it seems illogical now doesn't mean it's not possible, because there are plenty of things that haven't happened in the world yet that will happen. Technology will advance, medical science will advance. Those things are totally possible because they're already there. We're just like, you're sort of accessing it because everything already exists at the same time. There is no time. There is no time and space the way that we think it is. It's like consciousness, and you're shifting through different realities and parallel. I've talked about this and all this stuff. We did a deep dive on the parallel realities too. But the idea is, yes, all things are possible no matter how illogical it seems. So it's more like, do you want to persist to align with that thing? Is kind of the question, because you're not going to persist and align with everything that's possible in all of the universe. That's not the point of what we're doing in manifesting. It's like you're having your individual experience. You can focus on the things you want and select from the infinite the things that you want. But yeah, well, as far as I've seen, all things are possible due to how I understand that it functions. It's like kind of like a quantum field. You can look up quantum mechanics and things like that to see, you know, everything is fundamentally the exact same on energy level. It's made up of the exact same thing. We're all one, blah, blah, blah. There's lots of deep dives on that. But it's back to the choosing thing for the persisting. So and I say this so many times because this is literally one of the biggest things that will change the game for a lot of people. And you want to check this with yourself on a regular basis, especially if you feel stuck, okay? If you think you have your current reality and you have to change it, that is often why people feel stuck. And they have no idea they're perceiving it that way. That's why I'm telling it to you, because it took me forever to figure that out. And then I was like, how can I teach this? If you have both of them side by side, your brain automatically sees that it has a choice. Like half the battle is accomplished just by seeing two objects versus one. Does this make sense? This is nothing to do with manifesting. This is just kind of like how your brain is going to think about it. So that's why in a lot of my content, I have the lead bar and the gold bar. I have the two circles. These are strictly to get you to see two things at the same time. Current reality, desired reality. Now, so we did old story, new story. We did that deep dive recently. That was really cool. And today we're going to use the same foundation of two objects for choices. And these are little squeaky toys. So let's talk about persisting and choices and how to choose yourself. Because if you are working on something and you're not seeing the results that you want yet, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to persist. First of all, it's totally normal. Happens to pretty much everybody on some subject or other. And some people have different subjects that it's easier for. Like some people are just like, yeah, money just works for me. And other people are like, what? How do you get it to just work for you? And those same two people would be the opposite on relationships, right? The person who's struggling with money may be like, well, relationships are easy and natural. And the person with money may be like, I can't get my relationships to work. So just be aware, like, it is subject specific to each person versus like the fundamentals are the same. And you may need to persist on one subject where another one's like super easy for you. And, you know, that's just subject related to the choices that you were programmed and taught to make when you were younger and growing up and through your experiences. So I want to read something first, because again, this particular live is not about like getting those instant results. Although you can, we've done a live on that one as well. So I want to read this to you. It's from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, which is a great book. It's about habits. It's one of the top books I recommend across the board. It's not really a manifesting book, but a lot of the concepts in it are very manifesting oriented. They're very helpful for manifestors. So he says, every action you take is a vote for the type of person that you wish to become. No single instance will transform your beliefs, but as the votes build up, so does the evidence of your new identity. This is one reason why meaningful change does not require radical change. Small habits can make a difference by providing evidence of a new identity. And if change is meaningful, it's actually big. That's the paradox of making small improvements. You know, I love a good paradox. So when you're wanting a bigger transformation in your life, which means the desired result you want is vastly different from where you originally started, persisting becomes choices. Think of it as choices versus like, I have to just like white knuckle it. Okay. I've white knuckled manifestations before. It's not been amazing. But it did work, and you know, more power to people if you can do that. But think of it as making a choice. So if you have your current situation, let's say you have a job and you want a different job, right? Then you want to choose to become the person, to think like the person, to associate, identify yourself as the person who would have the job you want versus the job that you have. But you want to do it simultaneously. So you want to like relax and be like, okay, in this moment that I'm interacting with my boss, or I'm interacting with my job, or I'm frustrated with my paycheck or something like that, you have a choice in that moment. You may not realize it. And that's kind of the key why I wanted to talk about this. We often don't realize we have a choice. We're staring at one reality and we think, I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. How do I have a choice? That's very powerless. And again, we've all been there on different subjects, no judgment. So if you're in this position where you don't have a choice, that's the moment you want to be like, wait, I do have a choice. You want to create the choice. So if you're not seeing a choice in your reality, then you get to make the choice. You get to create the choice by saying, well, wait a minute, if this is here, then there must be something else here, because all things are possible, right? So you want to implement that choice. That's your power. You put it there. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and how to do that. And that's what choosing yourself and choosing your dreams is. It's you deliberately choosing to do that even when it doesn't look like that is the case. That's the dare that you're doing. You're daring yourself to do that, right? Okay. So let's see here. I want to read something to you. It's about self-talk. So I want you to think about how you relate to self-talk right now. What is self-talk for you? Is self-talk something you do verbally? A lot of people don't have an inner dialogue, but a lot of people do. I do. I have an inner dialogue. I chit-chat with myself all day long. So if you have that, that's your self-talk. If you don't have that, what does that look like for you? You know, how are you making choices? How are you making decisions? How are you perceiving And you want to identify this within yourself. Like, just take a moment and do it right now. How are you perceiving that? How are you perceiving, you know, when you don't have a choice? Or when you do have a choice? What does that look like? It's different. When you don't have a choice, that feels like there are no choices. I'm powerless. I just have to do what's in front of me. I have to say yes or no to what's in front of me, which, by the way, is also a choice. So keep that in mind. So your self-talk is the way to persist. Your self-talk is the way to insert a choice that you can make, even if you don't see one. So let's say you've been single for a really long time, and you've been trying to date, or you know, you put yourself out there and like nothing's happening. It's like crickets chirping, right? And you're like, my reality isn't changing. I don't see that I have a choice. Like, I'm powerless. That's the moment. You want to catch this. You want to tell yourself right here on this live, take the moment and be like, that's a moment where I can insert a choice that I could make. Is this making sense? To choose who I wish to become. James Clear said that, who I wish to become. Now, you're already that person. What you're doing by focusing and manifesting is you're aligning with that version of you, and it sort of shifts automatically. The shift happens without you having to do anything. Your job is content. Your job is content. Which content are you focusing on? The shift is automatic. The reality shift. Bashar talked about that. He talks about that a lot. I learned that from him years ago. Manifestation's automatic. The shift is automatic. The how is not your job. What your job is to choose what you're putting your attention on, to choose what you're focusing on the majority of the time, to choose who you identify as, to choose what dream is yours. Okay. So how to choose yourself. It's a choice between one or more things. We just talked about that, right? So you're inserting a choice when there isn't one. You're doing that. You're not waiting for it. This is your power. This is your deliberate manifesting. You're inserting the choice. Now, what does that look like? I'm going to give you some ideas. The first one is a decision, right? So I'm deciding, I have one reality. I'm seeing one thing. It doesn't look like it's going to change, even though I know I want something else. How do I get it to happen? You're deciding to see both at the same time. So that's the first way to look at a choice. The second way is to prefer. These are some definitions of it, right? Because the definition of a choice is the act of selecting or making a decision when faced with two or more possibilities. And to choose, the definition, which is the verb, that's the action, is to pick out or select something as being the most appropriate of two or more alternatives, or to decide on a course of action. So that is an action you can take. Choosing is an action that you can take at any time, and you're choosing to insert the second option even though you don't see it. You do that in your imagination. Or you could draw it out as two circles. Or you could have two objects in front of you that you have. I used to have a coin for my videos. I still have it. It's over there. But it's like from the Eiffel Tower. On one side is the Eiffel Tower and the other side is a building. And I would carry it in my pocket to remind me to insert my choice. That I have a choice. That the whole idea that you have a choice is what you're inserting first and foremost. So you can think of it as choosing, decision-making, or preferring. And the whole idea is you want to get into the habit, because as James Clear says, small habits can make a difference by providing evidence of your new identity. And the paradox of making these small improvements is that you get like big change, they build up. And that's what persisting is. You want to get into the habit by choosing to insert the idea, I can do this. I can actually focus or insert my new choice here, right? You get to do that when you identify that you feel like you don't have a choice. So the first thing you're going to do right now is just take a moment, put your hand on your heart if you want. And just be like, you know what? Let's acknowledge it. I like acceptance as it's like a superpower. So you can say this out loud, you can say it in your head. So say to yourself out loud, if you can, there are some times that I feel like I don't have a choice and I feel powerless. And that sucks, that doesn't feel good. But as a deliberate manifester, I'm choosing in those moments to see that maybe I'm not powerless. Maybe I'm not powerless at all. If you don't know how, that's fine. You're not supposed to know how in manifesting. And repeat after me, right here, right now. I have decided I am going to choose to see that I have a choice in moments where I think I don't. Now, you don't need to believe this or feel it, and you don't need to know how that's going to happen, right? Yes, this live will be saved. Yes, thank you, Nino. So the idea is you want to open up to acting. This is your action. This is your power to putting a choice in place where you didn't think one was before. This is a skill. You will get better at it if you practice it, but take the next week and just experiment with it. I always tell people to experiment. Don't put pressure on yourself. Don't try to come out of the gate like 100 miles an hour knowing how to do it. Just be like, for the next week, I'm going to challenge myself. In the moments that I think I don't have a choice, I have to go with the flow. I have to, deal with things as they are. I am not getting what I want. That's what I would say. Those are the moments I would say, be like, what if I have a choice? What if I insert the idea that I have a choice for the heck of it, just to see what happens, right? And what will happen is you'll start to create this new habit within your mind, and then you repeat this. It becomes a skill. It becomes second nature at some point, and then you will be, trucking along, working on your bigger transformation, your bigger manifestation, and you'll end up in a moment where you're like, oh my God, I have all this resistance. It's not working. And I'm never going to get it. Like, I'm still stuck on the same thing. I don't feel like I'm getting any movement. And you'll be like, wait a minute. What if I have a choice? Because that's that powerless thing, right? I'm stuck, right? I'm not getting anywhere. What if I have a choice? What if I could imagine what I wanted anyway right now? What if I could choose myself? What if I could, and we're going to talk about how to, what the choosing looks like in just a moment. I haven't totally deep dive into that yet. And someone asked if I could explain the experiment a little bit more. Yes. And the one thing I want to say here, let's go through the experiment. This is perfect. So Jenny is asking, or saying, she's not asking, she's saying, I like what you said about your friend not knowing what you were capable of regarding the contest. So if you don't know my story, in 2013, I won this huge global contest. I did not know at the time that I won. I found out after that there were 47,000 people in the contest and I won first place. So it was pretty big. And thank God I didn't know. It really helped me. At the beginning of the contest, it took several months, about 6 months or so, to go through the whole thing and then win. A friend of mine who is a really good manifester, I told her, I was very excited. I just heard about the contest. I was a couple weeks into it. I told her, and she said, you don't think you're going to win, do you? And now what's interesting is I shrank when she said that. I mean, she was reflecting my own worry, my own fear. I made a choice when she said that. And this is one of the things I want to give you as part of the experiment. This is the physical action version in your external reality. I made a choice. Do I want to identify myself from what she said, or do I want to identify myself and what's possible for me based on what I want? So I'm in this reality. It looks like it's hard to win. I want to win. She says it, and I made a choice. Was I going to listen to her or not? Nothing to do with my friendship with her. It had nothing to do. I cared about her very much. She's a great manifester. But something in my mind was like, you don't have to listen to that. You don't have to agree with that. You don't have to believe with that, or believe that about yourself. And I made the choice in that moment to stop talking about my about the contest to my friends. Not because I felt like they were going to say stuff, but I was like, I'm going to protect what I'm working on. So one of the first things you can do, and if this is the easier one, because it's action oriented in your external reality for the next week or so, is when somebody says something to you about your dream or about yourself, be selective of whether or not you listen to that person, even if they're your favorite person in the world. Choose you. This is what choose yourself means. Choose you in that moment. Choose your dream in that moment. This is nothing to do with people caring about you or loving you or wanting the best for you. This is about you creating space in your mind to align with your dream. The more you focus on having the thing that you want and identifying as someone who has the thing that you want, the more you automatically shift to that reality. That's what manifesting is. You can do this through visualizing, scripting, affirming, just going about your day. There's a ton of different ways to do it. So you're in this reality and you meet someone or you're interacting with someone in your life who's talking about this reality because that's what they see. Maybe it's not as important to them. So they're not really thinking outside the box for you, which is totally normal. They say something like this girl said that to me. And in that moment, I had a choice. And I caught it that I had a choice. And I chose this, even though there was nothing in my reality to say I was going to win this contest. It was the beginning of the contest. I hadn't accomplished all the stuff I needed to do to win the contest. But I chose me. And by choosing me, I chose not to interact with people on that subject. I still interacted with her, just not on that subject. I still interacted with my friends, just not on that subject. I kept my mouth shut. What's interesting is my mother was very supportive during this time with the contest. So I did talk to her about it because she was aligned with this reality, just naturally, just easily. So the first thing you can do for the experiment, and if it's the only thing you do for the experiment, you're doing really, really well because this is helpful, is you choose yourself. You choose who you want to identify as, who you are that has the thing you want. You choose your dream by being selective in your physical reality with who you're interacting with on that particular subject. I'll give you another example. My friend Bridget Thomas, she's an incredible manifesting coach. She's a great friend. She has a book out called Change Your Self-Talk, Change Your Life. It's a great book. It's also part journal. And I'll link it up in Amazon after this, Amazon store if you're interested in it. So I was manifesting something very important and very big to me, and she really helped me with it. She helped me identify one of my bigger blocks and to finally get my manifestation. A block was me focusing here instead of here. A block is not actually blocking you. It's more like you're just focusing it on the wrong thing. And, I talked to her on the phone yesterday. I was catching up with her and I realized she was one of these people in my life during that manifestation. She wasn't the only one, but she was solidly one of these people. I had these people in my life too. Nothing wrong with these people. These people love me. They're great. They're wonderful. It's not a reflection of, what's possible for me. It's just a reflection of a reality where I'm focused on this. And she was solidly one of these people. And I made a choice to talk to her at the hardest moment for me on that manifestation. Of all the people in my life I could have talked to, I chose her. And I chose her because I chose myself and I chose my dream. I didn't choose one of these people, even though these people love me and they still want the best for me. And some of them were kind of in the middle. Like, do you know what I'm talking about in your life? It doesn't matter what it is. It could be money, relationships, health. It could be anything. It's the people who, when you talk to them about it, they bring you into this space, or they help keep you in this space is a better way to say it, versus the people who are here. And she was solidly this, and I chose to talk to her, and I had my biggest breakthrough. That's choosing you. That's persisting. In that moment, I could have collapsed. That was a defining moment for me in manifesting my love life. It was a huge defining moment for me. And I reached for this. And it was not easy, but I knew I had a choice. I didn't just see this and collapse because I'd trained myself so much to do this. And I picked up the phone and I asked her if she could talk, and she could, because I knew, choose you, choose yourself, choose your dream. I did not know it was going to work. I knew it could work. I knew manifesting worked. I didn't know that particular thing was going to work at that time, but it did. And very shortly after, I got my manifestation. So the experiment is to become an observer. Observe who in your life is talking to you in a way that holds you in this space versus this space. And again, we're not judging these people. There's nothing wrong with these people. There's nothing wrong with your relationship with these people in most cases, right? It does not mean that they're toxic or they're bad for you or you need to like shut them down. No. Because what's happening is I have some friends who were holding me in this space or not holding me, that feels powerless. I have some friends who helped me commiserate in this space is a better way to say it. And you know what? They're here now with me. So, it's nothing about your friends. It's nothing about their mindset. It's really about, are you choosing to agree with them? Because that's you choosing you. You're choosing to be that version of you, whether you want to or not, when you allow that. So there's also this phrase, you are the sum of the 5 people you interact with the most. Because we start thinking like people, we start making choices like them. But that is the thing I would do first and foremost, if you don't do anything else for the next 7 days, is just observe who in your life is helping you choose who you want to be and choosing your dream just by how they naturally are showing up and talking versus the people who are just helping you stay status quo. Again, nothing wrong with that. And choose you in that moment. So what I mean is choose to interact with the people on that subject that are here and choose to reduce interacting with the people on the subject here. You don't have to reduce interacting with these people. Just reduce talking about that subject with them. That's how you choose you. That's what persisting is. And it's repeating, right? It's repeating the same choice over and over again. So a lot of times people think in manifesting, persisting is just persisting with the outcome. And it is, but it's persisting with choosing the outcome, choosing yourself, choosing, I am this. And you do it with self-talk. You do it with the Japanese proverb that I love that's from my masterclass, which is what to focus on when you're manifesting. It really helps you get clear about what you're going to be focusing on when you do your focusing work. It has like a worksheet and everything. It's really cool. And when you're choosing what to focus on, you want to repeat that once you have that focus, because that's the habit that your mind is getting into. It's a choice. You're choosing that over this. That's all that's happening. And everything else in your system is natural and automatic. And that's what people are like, I didn't really think about it that much. And then it manifested. Why? The system's automatic. The system is inherent in you. The manifesting system, you don't make it happen. You don't make the system happen. The system happens. It's working. You're getting your content in place. So if you have a manifestation that happens super fast and super easy with minimal effort, you made this choice to focus here at some point. And whatever focus you had here, just you either were okay with it, it wasn't strong enough, something was going on, right? Where it just didn't alter the persistence of this choice. And acceptance can also collapse the paradox so that you can get the manifestation as well. It's a whole different subject. But you made a choice and it manifested through the automatic system within you. So if you're focusing on something and you're not getting your manifestation and you're feeling stuck, that's when you want to step back and just be like, where am I choosing this accidentally? And in most cases, I have noticed it's because people don't realize that they have a choice. So the solution is, how do I realize I have a choice? 2 objects, 2 circles, 2 squares, 2 sides of the paper, 2 sides of a coin. I don't care. Get 2 things, visually put them in front of you, draw them, hold them. If you're tactile, get an object. If you're visual, write it out. If you like scripting, do 2 columns, like the don't want and the want list. 2 is the solution. That helps you see that you have a choice. Then, how do I choose to focus on what I want? Now, there's a lot of ways to do that as well. Sometimes you might need to sit with your feelings. Sometimes you may need to, white knuckle it a little bit to make the choice. Sometimes you may just be like, I can't even make the choice right now. I'm so tired. All of that is perfectly fine and normal. I've gotten a lot of my bigger manifestations by having all of those experiences. So everything that you're going through to make your choice, your repeated choice, to make the thing you want, the habit choice, is normal. It's totally normal. And you can get there even if you've been experiencing like being stuck. So the solution that I've come up with that has worked really well for me, whenever I'm stuck, is 2 things. Make it 2 things. And then even if my mind's like, I don't even see that it's still 2 things. How is it a choice? I feel so powerless. That happens to me too. I'll be like, oh no, 2 things. How can I choose this? Now, another great book that I love, and I've been talking about this one a lot recently, that goes into this as well, so that, I want to give you guys some resources that are not even in the manifesting world. So like James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, is a habit book. Bridget's book is a manifesting book, Change Your Self-Talk. This book is not a manifesting book. It's called, where do I have it right here? Where is it? Choose Love Over Fear. Love is Letting Go of Fear. And this book really helped me to understand how to make that choice when it comes to love and people. And this includes non-romantic love as well. How to choose love over fear, how to choose love over judgment. So it's a beautiful book if you want to do a little bit more of a deep dive into how do you even become aware you have a choice in that moment, because you do. You can choose to notice something you appreciate or you feel gratitude for somebody versus something you're judging them for. That book is excellent. It's been a bestseller for a long time. People that I have recommended it to that have read it have reached out to me and just said, thank you so much, what a great book. So that will really help you understand what I'm talking about choose you, choose love. You can make a choice. You have the power at all times to make a choice of what you focus on. You may not have a choice in your physical reality in the moment, but you have a choice of what to focus on. And that book really drives that point home, as does Atomic Habits, as does Bridget's book. Change Your Self-Talk, Change Your Life. And I want to just be very gentle with everyone. Some days it's going to be easier than others to focus on what you want. Some days it's going to feel harder. That is normal. It's something that's why you persist. You're changing your dominant focus, your habit focus. You are changing your focus. As you do that, that is your work. Neville Goddard even talked about it. He said, I think he said something about like taming wild horses. It's like having the discipline to tame the wild horses in your mind. I don't remember the exact phrase, but that's the idea. And that is your work. The mechanism of manifestation does the rest. And there is a tipping point at some point, especially on these bigger transformations, where your focus is habitually on this. And I also want to recommend being very gentle with yourself. It's not your fault if your focus is habitually on this. It's not your parents' fault. It's nobody's fault. The idea is you want to see it as I get to, have you heard this? Instead of I have to, I get to switch my habitual focus. I get to do that. I don't have to, I get to do it. You get to choose this. And the more you choose it, as James Clear says, the more you vote for it, it tips the balance. Little small changes go like this, and then they go up. That's what happens. That's what happens with me, with my manifestations. I'm like, ding, 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 ding. Focus, 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 focus. Oh my God, is this ever going to happen? Focus, 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 focus. I can't affirm anymore. I can't visualize anymore. Focus, 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 focus. And then I get like an avalanche on that subject of what I was wanting. It happened with me with money. It happened with me with The Walking Dead, getting on The Walking Dead as a zombie years ago. It happened with me with the contest. It happened with me in my love life. So again, this whole live is strictly about like those transformations that you're making where you're changing your habit focus from this to this. There are other manifestations you're going to have where you don't have to do that because your dominant habit focus is already here. Does that make sense? So persisting is when you fall down 7 times, you get up 8 times. That is an old Japanese proverb. It's one of my favorite because if you fall down 7 times, you get up 8. That's how babies learn how to walk. They don't fall down 7 times and then not get back up again. They just keep going because they choose them. They choose walking. They choose that version of them, right? And you have that within you, and you're going to use self-talk as one of the main ways to do that. And that's how you talk to yourself. So one more thing I want to say before I jump into looking at questions. I want to make sure I covered everything here. When you're doing self-talk, something I have found personally that later I was able to validate from research that's been done. I didn't do the research, but I ran across it. When you talk to yourself in third person, or I think, is it third person? You are like, Amy, you can do it. Amy, you got this. You use your name and you speak to yourself that way. There's something really powerful about that type of self-talk. So for persisting, I recommend trying it if you haven't tried it yet. I am is super powerful. Like, I am confident. I can do this. I got this. Like, that is super powerful. But for me and a lot of people I've worked with over the years, using the your name plus you are out loud or in your head in those moments when you need to get back up the 8th time, you've fallen out, right? Your focus has snapped back over here and you're like, oh my God, I'm never gonna be able to do this. This happens to all of us. It's not you, it's the habit mind. It's nothing to do with you personally. We all have a habit mind. And it's automated for, our benefit in the positive and sucks in the negative. So when you're focused here and you fall, you're focused here and you fall out and you're back here, I have found being like, Amy, you can do this. You can do this. Keep going. You know this works. You got this. You can handle this. You can focus. I don't believe in those moments, but you're sort of like your own little cheerleader, right? And that helps you. And when I'm here, I do a lot of the I am. Like, I am this. I am wonderful. I'm confident. But when I'm here and I've been here and I'm like, and I fall out and I can't see this anymore and it's rolled away and I'm like, oh my God, it's never going to change. I can't do this. Then I'm like, no, I got this. I can do this. And my mom was very, very good at real estate for a lot of years. And she did that. I remember watching her in like the 80s when she would do that. She would talk to herself that way. And you know why? Her brother, my uncle, worked with the guy, I can't remember his name, who also trained Jack Canfield. So Jack Canfield wrote all of the, he did all the Chicken Soup for the Soul books. My uncle was trained in positive thinking and self-talk by the same guy that basically Jack Canfield learned from what I understand from my family. I don't know Jack Canfield on my own, but it was that type of thing. And my uncle taught it to my mom, that self-talk, the you are, but he learned it from somebody who was somebody back in the day. I'll find out who. But anyway, so that's the first way you're going to do it, is you're going to make the choice. Am I choosing to listen to people who are talking about this or this in my life? And then the second way is when you fall out of it for your experiment, is to do the self-talk. That's how you choose yourself. You're choosing to do the self-talk in that moment. It's not easy. Especially when you're here and you're like, oh my God, it's totally going to happen. My dreams are finally going to come. Oh, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We have inner resistance. We have outer resistance. And you're here. The choice you make is, I have the choice to lift myself up. And you're not trying to feel better. You're not trying to believe it. You're not trying to get back into alignment right away. It's, I'm going to try again. I'm going to go for it again. All right. I'm going to look back at some questions here. I stopped the rolling, so I got to go all the way back to the beginning. So I don't know how many questions there are yet. It's so nice to see all of you today. And I'm in Hawaii, wintering it out here. Alrighty, let's see here. I'm back at the beginning. Hello, hi Natalie. Love the topic today. Yes, Paulina, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. All right, sending everybody good vibes. Hello. Yes, good vibes. Amy, perfect timing with the topic. My 3D shows the opposite of what I want. I need some stubbornness. Yeah. Choose yourself, right? Give Me Salt said this. My 3D shows the opposite of what I want, and I need some stubbornness. Be stubborn. Advocate for yourself with being stubborn. I can't tell you how many people, my poor friends, that I was stubborn with on some of my manifestations. They're like, maybe it's just not the right thing. I'm like, nope, I know who I am. I'm going to choose me. Be stubborn. And you're being stubborn with the habit mind that's holding you here, And there are ways around the habit mind, by the way, that are quick and easy. I've done it before. And my big recommendation, though, is the manifestations I've gotten that were hugely transformational for me. And I know other people may be able to get there faster and all that kind of stuff, but the ones I got that were huge life transformations, they typically took me a little bit longer than I thought. They typically took me a little, like months longer, sometimes a year longer. And I was doing a lot of work while facing this reality, but I was doing the work here and I wasn't seeing anything happen. This is something I've noticed with my patterning. It's not the same pattern for everybody. You may not have that pattern, so you do not need to think this is universal. It is specific to me and some other people, but don't think you have to go through this. I have a really good friend who manifested all these huge transformations in her life. She didn't have the same experience. She would have this, she would focus on this, there'd be a little bit of wibble wobble, and then poof, this would happen. And then she would do it again, and poof, this would happen. And she would get a lot of momentum going. And I was more like focusing on this, and it was this, and focusing on this, and it was this, and focusing on this, and it was this. And I was like, where did all the stuff go that I focused on? And while she was just getting this constant feedback in her reality, this momentum, I wasn't. And this was at the same time. This was maybe 15 years ago. And then all of a sudden mine happened, and it was just this massive avalanche. Everything that she had been experiencing, every couple of weeks or every couple of months that build the momentum, all of the same amount happened at one time for me. So I've seen it in both ways. You may be able to look back at your life and see you may have a combo of those, or for the bigger transformations, or you may lean one way or the other. If you lean towards the momentum, that's great. It's a little bit easier to persist sometimes for that type of thing. If you lean towards not seeing anything for a long time, even though you've been focusing, ask yourself, have I actually done it before where I transformed my life and everything kind of came out of nowhere and it was this big shift? You may be able to rely on that as something within your own system of how it works for you. So yeah, stubbornness. I'm pretty stubborn when it comes to my manifestations. So I highly recommend it. Use it in a positive way, the stubbornness, by choosing yourself. No, I'm not going to buy into this limiting idea that I can't have what I want, or that I can't win this contest, or that this isn't the right thing for me. No, I know myself. That's choosing yourself. Hi, Nea of the Planets. I was manifesting a job and it fell through at the last moment. Well, I know that must feel pretty bad. I think this is a great example where sometimes I've seen this a lot with jobs. I'm just going to tell you what I've seen a lot with jobs, where people are manifesting a specific job or a dream job, and they get some movement with other jobs, or something happens and it falls through. This is momentum though, because it's showing you what's in the mix. So if you were like focusing and then this is your reality and the job fell through, you will actually want to look at that and just sort of double check within yourself. Like, okay, was I really focusing on having the job? No judgment towards yourself. This is more like analytical, logical, double checking, which my masterclass walks through, and my 4 steps walk through it. You can do it that way as well, where it's like, was I actually focusing on having the job? Okay, yes. Did I believe it was possible? Yes. Did I have some resistance? Yeah, but it wasn't too big. And did I need the job? Well, a little bit for the money, but no, not really. Like, then you could just be like, well, why do you think you didn't get the job? And then see if anything comes up. Again, no judgment. You're not blaming yourself. You're not looking for a reason to beat yourself up or anything like that. And I like to do this on paper. It helps me stay more neutral when I'm doing it. And then you can adjust it and see. The other thing is, it also may be that a better job is coming or a better opportunity within that job is coming. I literally have seen people, I knew this woman in the film industry. I still know her, I guess. But years ago in the film industry, she went to a job interview for the film industry, and it was between her and another woman. And she felt for sure it was hers, and they picked the other woman. And she was really confused. And she told me the story after the fact. I didn't know her at the time that this happened. And she went home to her husband, and she said, I'm really confused. I thought this job was mine. I felt like this was mine. And 2 weeks later, they called her and said, can you come in? We had to let the other girl go. And she ended up having that job for years. And it turned out the other girl just didn't show up on time. She was just not a really good fit. Now, looking back, I remember when she told me the story, she was so grateful that she got the job. She kind of didn't care anymore that those 2 weeks happened. She wasn't questioning it. But she did question it in those 2 weeks, and she naturally chose, like, but this is who I am. I thought this was mine, even though she was facing this. She did this naturally because we're natural manifestors. So there's a lot of really great ways to understand how manifesting works just by watching people who don't know anything about manifesting. Like, that's one of the best places to see it is, oh, they don't know anything about manifesting and yet they're getting things that they want. Well, they were upset and they still got it. I guess that means I can be upset and still get it, right? We're learning to do something deliberately that we're very good at naturally. So I'm very sorry that you didn't get the job opportunity. It fell through. I would definitely keep focusing on the job. Hi, Amy from Spain. Thank you for the Europe friendliness. You're very welcome. Hello, Amy. Hi, how are you? I feel like this live is meant to be. Rihanna, I need to persist hard at the moment for a positive answer. I'm expecting today for a client. Yeah. And if you are in like a time crunch, I have a time crunch video on my YouTube channel. It's several years old. You can search for it. For time crunches, when you have something that's going to happen like the same day or the same week or something like that, I will actually sit in the resistance, and I'll be like, I'm just screw it. I'm just going to sit in the resistance, and I'm feeling resistance to this, and I'm going to focus on this anyway. And that's been very beneficial for me. I don't like to sit in resistance like that long term, like something that doesn't have a time crunch, because that can wear you out. But yeah, just feel the resistance and be like, even though I feel this resistance, I'm choosing this. I love it. Thank you for saying that. All right. I have to go to work soon, but I've been trying to detach, and I've been using your steps for making detachment a separate manifestation. I have a lot of pressure to detach because I know it's the only reason I haven't gotten my manifestation. Okay, great. This is an excellent question. I have 4 steps if you haven't seen my steps or my content before about it. And step 4 is detaching. Step 4 is saying, I don't need this. I want it. I want it. I don't need it. Or you could say, I love it. I don't need it. And this applies for things that are not for physical survival. So physical survival needs are food, clothing. That's for shelter to protect you from the elements outside. Water to drink, oxygen, and sleep. These are things that you need to physically survive like through the week type of thing. Anything else, you can tell your mind that you want it, you don't need it. That's what detaching is in my world. So you get to want it, you get to desire it, you want it because you love it. So for you, I want you to think about this. If you've been trying to detach, and I know you're good at the steps, you've done them for years, you're a really good manifester, talking to the person who asked the question, trade out the word, I'm trying to detach, to I love this. So instead of I want it, I don't need it, just be like, this is love. I love this idea. I love this idea of being in this relationship. I love this idea of being with this person. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's love, not need. It's love, not need. Because I know that this is something that you really want and it's a preference, and you don't have to get rid of that feeling. The idea is to transmute that feeling. You want to transmute it into love from need, right? And so you do that by saying, I love this. I don't need it. Typically, I tell people, I want it, I don't need it. And I know you've used that, so try it. I love it, I don't need it. And let it be okay that you haven't totally detached yet. It's because you love it, right? Also, you look great. Thank you. Hi, Amy. I've been watching a lot of Tom Karen. Yes. Tom Karen, if you guys don't know, has 2 channels. He has the Be Something Wonderful channel on YouTube and the Tom Karen channel. And I know that the comments will not be here on the replay. So his last name is spelled Kearin. I've been watching a lot of Tom Karen. He really emphasizes just knowing you're already what you desire. There's nothing you need to do. I'm wondering how that fits with focusing in step 1 and 2. I think you put 1 in /2. So that is, okay, so Tom is teaching an identity-based function, and there is focus. So that is focus in step 1. So that is a very specific type of focus. It absolutely works. And I've had success with it myself. So it is step 1. I think of manifesting, here I have this wonderful dartboard here, this little paddle, as target-based. And so you can think of it as destination-based, like typing an address into a GPS. Once you do that, your system knows where you're headed. But I like the idea of a dart or an arrow on a dartboard, or like a bullseye, right? If you want to hit a bullseye, you would imagine hitting a bullseye. You would close your eyes and imagine hitting the bullseye before you throw the dart. If you were to script it, you'd be like, I hit the bullseye. It was so amazing. I won the game. I hit the bullseye. You talk about it past tense. If you're affirming it, I hit the bullseye. I did it. I succeeded. You could also affirm it by identity. I'm the bullseye queen. I'm the bullseye king. I always hit bullseyes. Okay, so that's identity. And I think of manifesting as target-based. Identity is really big for manifesting as well. And I'm going to explain this. I'm really glad you asked this, because this is something that has helped me with my bigger transformations and persisting. If you're persisting with something, it's a bigger transformation. I highly recommend identity stuff in there, because you don't need to do an identity shift to manifest ice cream or, someone mowing your lawn for you, right? Necessarily. But you may want to look at your identity. You may have a habit of thinking in an identity that's not conducive to what you want. So if you go to a place that has a dartboard, let's say it's a public place, like a bar or something like that, or like a dart competition. I don't know. There's other people there, and you are a world-class dart player. Your identity is already a match to this. So you just go, you focus, you imagine hitting it, you imagine where you want it to go. You're focusing on the target and you throw it, right? And William Whitecloud, I'm mentioning a lot of people because there's a lot of amazing resources out there. I'm definitely not the only one. William Whitecloud, in his book, The Magician's Way, he talks about it as golf. It's a fictional book about manifesting, where he talks about hitting the target. You want to see where the ball is landing versus trying to figure out your arms. He calls the swing circle. That's like the process. It's too heavy on the process, right? It's not your job to figure out how to detach. It's not your job to figure out how to hit the target. It's your job to imagine that you're detached. Imagine that you hit the target. So he talks about that with golf. So, a world champion dart player would go and imagine hitting it, and then their body, the how, will move in that direction. And of course, they practiced it. A beginner, you might have beginner's luck. You may have never played darts, and somebody tells you, go hit the dartboard, and because you never played before, you just imagine the dart hitting the center, the bullseye, and you do it. You don't know how you did it. You didn't practice. I mean, how many of you have had beginner's luck on something like that? A game, anything, sports, because you just observed the outcome, and you're just like, oh, that's what the outcome is, and you just went right there and did it. And then you try to do it again, and it's harder, right? Because now you're trying to figure out how to move your arms. It's like you might make small adjustments, but the idea is your focus is on the bullseye. So now imagine that you come in and you have the identity of someone who is terrified of performing darts in front of other people. You suck at it. You don't even hit the dartboard. Your darts bounce off the wall. They don't even stick anywhere. And you have had experiences your whole life where every time you played darts, you have felt embarrassed and you've run away thinking, I'm never going to play darts again because I'm so bad at it. Because one time you played it when you were a kid and you got laughed at when you were 6 at a birthday party. Okay. I'm just coming up with this random example. Now, manifesting coaches saying hey, by the way, just imagine hitting the dart, the bullseye. Well, now you have an identity that contradicts it, right? You have fear, you have all this stuff coming up. That's where this transformation comes in. You may be able to imagine hitting it, but you want to also imagine the identity of the person who hit it. I did it. I can do it. I am good at it. I can overcome it. I can change. That wasn't me. That was just something that happened to me. Those are identity, how you relate to yourself with identity. So, yes, the idea of manifesting is target-based. Identity can really help and make it super easy. And it can also be something that you want to also transform. That's where a lot of self-concept comes in. And I always recommend doing self-concept when you're manifesting something important to you, because it's better to be safe than sorry. You want to win a contest? I was lucky. I am a lucky person. I'm in a family of lucky people. I did that self-concept. I didn't just imagine winning the contest. I imagined I'm the type of person who wins the contest. Right? And then with my love life, I was imagining, but I was the type of person who things didn't work out for. That I had some weird block to my my love life with manifesting. And that's what Bridget helped me with. She was like, did you realize you keep saying that things just don't work out for you in your love life? And I was like, well, yeah, but they don't. And she goes, stop saying it. She literally was the only person in my life that said, stop saying it. And when I stopped saying it, I was like, oh my God, that's my identity. No wonder. It switched because I was like, oh, they do work out for me. My love life does work out for me. And what's funny about that is I didn't believe it when I started saying it. I was like, okay. But anyway, you say it, repetition, blah, blah, blah. That's why you persist. You hit the target. So back to your question, because I love this question about Tom Caron's channel. He really emphasizes just knowing you are already what you desire. Yes, that's an identity. There's nothing you need to do. If you have the identity that you're already everything you desire and there's nothing you need to do, then when you naturally put your attention on a target, it's going to be super easy. This is what I would call, first of all, it's factual. You technically are already everything you desire because of the way I think about it with radio stations. All the different radio stations are streaming content at the same time. You're tuned into one channel. That's how I think of parallel realities. So if you're listening to the hard rock channel, you're listening to hard rock, but pop music is still playing simultaneously on another frequency, as is classical music, as is the baseball game, as is talk radio. And so that you are the tuner. And what you put your attention on, who you identify it as, is what you end up selecting. The mechanism is automatic. So Tom, in his brilliance, is like, We have the identity that you're already everything you desire and there's nothing you need to do. Now, when you think of something that you want, you don't have an identity issue. And you go right there because it's like you don't have this identity thing. So I highly recommend developing that. It's sort of like a big umbrella identity. It's also true. And again, true from my experience. You can experiment with it yourself to see how it works. My 4 steps would fit into his model because you don't need to do my 4 steps to get your manifestation. They're not required. My 4 steps are to help the manifestor to double check and direct their focus to focus here and to see if they're focused here. Like, where are you actually focused on, right? And so my 4 steps are not required to get your manifestation, which is super cool, but they're very helpful if you're like, I've been focusing and I'm not getting a result. Because if you're like, well, I've also got a lot of resistance, I got a like, yeah, buts are your resistance. I got a lot of yeah, buts. Then you could be like, well, I can still get my manifestation even though I have those. That's my loophole for it. Well, that's the same thing Tom is saying. I don't have to get rid of those. It's acknowledging it though. So he's asking or bringing to our attention that you can acknowledge you're already that what you do. You're already that what you desire to be, and you don't need to do anything. That's brilliant. It's like a master key. In the same way that I would be saying it as I don't need to be different. My circumstances don't need to be different. I just did a deep dive live on that with the subscribers last month. And I can have this resistance and get it anyway. It's similar. We're talking about it similar. He's talking about it very identity based, and I'm talking about it more like how to structure your mind to think about your particular manifestation in order to make sure you're focused on it in a way where you're not accidentally, because it's always accidental, holding something else dominant. You can even get around that. You can be like, even though my identity and everything I believe to be true up until this point and everything I've experienced until this point in my life and everything that I focused on seems off, I can still get my manifestation. You can do that. That's a loophole. Because you don't have to actually accomplish anything in manifesting. The idea, though, is when you are focusing and you're not seeing a result, what are you doing? Like, what are you going to do? And my suggestion is choose yourself, choose your goal, choose what it is that you want, choose your desire, and how you do that is by knowing you have a choice. There's 2 options, not 1. So this is to kind of help you get into that position to do Tom's work in a sense. The other thing you can do to do Tom's stuff is just repeat it. Repeat. Repetition is one of the main ways to get your habit mind on board. Your habit mind is your subconscious mind. You can get around it, of course, by saying I can get around it. You got to repeat that as well in a lot of cases. But the idea is it's just automation. Your mind is just automated to focus here because at some point you were told to focus on it that way, or you made the choice to do it without realizing it. That's it. That's all that's happening. And you can switch it if you want. And sometimes it's easier than others. And I want to say this too. I've told this story before as well. It's super funny. So like take Tom's idea and you already are that what you desire to be. There's going to be situations in your life where you're going to think that and you already have a habit mind that supports it, right? So you're just going to be like, yeah, I am that, and you get your manifestation. But some of the times, and I've applied his information as well as part of my step 1, some of the times I've done that, I had to repeat it because my habit was mine. Like, no, you're not. What are you talking about? There are several ways to shift your focus. The first way is repetition. Repeat out loud in your head, in your choices. You can think of it as repeating a choice versus repeating an affirmation. Or it's not really like you have to do this to get it. It's because there's a lot of nuances to manifesting where it's like the techniques don't cause the manifestation. The techniques help you choose. The techniques help you focus. The techniques help you repeat until you can make that final choice where you get the manifestation, or you make the shift within yourself where you're like, I don't have to think I'm this type of person. I don't have to think that anymore. I can think this. Sometimes you get there on 5 tries. Sometimes you get there on 10, right? And again, it's because of our dominant focus has been trained in a certain way. But I want to say, like, repetition is one of the main ways. There's other ways. Feeling is another way, which is why there's so many feeling-based techniques in manifesting. You know, Abraham Hicks talks about this a lot. And you can feel your way out into a manifestation. So you can do feeling affirmations, feeling visualizations. That can help shift your focus, but also through repetition. And then, or like Feel It Real with like Neville Goddard, there's another way that you can, and this happens, shift your dominant choice, your dominant focus very quickly. I learned this in my 20s, so forgive me if I don't remember all the details, but it is based on a shock to your system. I don't know how to do that deliberately, so I don't teach it that way, but it is proven that it works that way. There's been a lot of research of people who've been in car accidents or things, major life transitions that happen suddenly that can reprogram them for the positive or for the negative, because your subconscious is kind of like open to this whole new experience. So there are ways to just do it, you know, and you're more than welcome to look into those. If someone's teaching it that way in a positive sense, I haven't run across that so much. But what Tom is teaching is still, you know, making the choice. You have to choose to see yourself that way. And if you're choosing it and you're falling out of it, then it's like, all right, what do I do when I fall out of it? Like, I'm choosing to see that I'm already everything that I wish to be and that I already haven't. I don't need to do anything. But then your mind's like, okay, yeah, right. You know, then what do you do? And for me, I'd be like, choose it again. That's persisting. Choose it again. You don't. It's funny because persisting is not what causes the manifestation either. It's the choice. It's continuing to make the choice, and there's a lot of nuances to it. But I love that you brought that up. Thank you so much. But it does fit into step 1, in my opinion. Actually, his kind of covers all the steps because he's like summarizing it all in one beautiful, beautiful identity. Jenny, this is why I switched back to the SP I really want. I was focused more on an earlier SP, a different, you said the other SP, because I could sense he had feelings for me, but I'd rather spend my time focusing on the one I really want for me. Yeah, exactly. Purple whiskers. Let me see here. Yeah, I see when people ask questions in groups and coaches or assistants or group members say persist and that's it, or just choose. But persist is an explanation for many people feels meh, as you say. Yeah, it does. I mean, like I said, when I learned how to manifest and when I started teaching it and coaching, like persist was not a word. It was not a word in the community at all. You know, it was just like, keep going, or, you know, it was a different, and the word persist came up. It has a meh feeling for a lot of people because it just feels like effort, you know? It feels like effort for me. And when I reprogrammed it for myself to be like, it's not effort, it's me just choosing who I am in the face of stuff that's trying to tell me that I'm not who I think I am, you know, it made it a little bit easier. I wanted to share that with all of you. All right. Hello, everybody. Hello. I recently decided firmly I am married to my SP and that nothing I do or don't do changes that. I haven't been focusing other than to remind myself. Oh, the 1, 2. Oh my gosh. It was your second comment. Hilarious. Okay, so this is back to the person who asked about Tom's video content, and I said there was a 1, 2 at the end. It's because it was the first of 2 comments. All right, let me continue. I recently decided firmly I am married to my SP and that nothing I do or don't do changes that. I haven't been focusing other than to remind myself of that choice. Perfect. Yep, that's it. Remind yourself of that choice. That is brilliant. Because again, that's you having a way when you notice what you made a decision. When I notice that, you know, maybe I'm thinking against it or something like that, I'm going to continue to choose it. That's brilliant. It's you reminding yourself you made that choice. I love it. Annika, is manifesting anything possible, like anything and everything, theological things too? So the way that it works is if everything exists, which science does support this idea that everything is already in existence. Bashar talks about it as, you know, everything is here and now because time is not the way that we think it is. Then yes, anything is possible. That doesn't mean you personally will experience everything, because that's what the whole of all of us are doing, is to experience everything. So you want to really look at like what you really want. What do you really want? Is that possible? Yeah, absolutely. And everything else is also possible, but sometimes people will think, I have to know for sure that everything is possible by experiencing it, when I was able to see that everything is possible not by experiencing every single thing happening, but by understanding things that seemed impossible manifested, and I started to observe how they happened, not just for myself, not just for 5 people, not for 10 people, but for hundreds and thousands of people that I was, talking to over the years, that you start to see like, yeah, everything is possible. It's the how that trips people up, because we don't see how it could happen. Because you said the illogical things too, right? That's the how. The last live I did was all about that, about circumstances don't need to be different, is about the how. And usually it's the how is why we think something is impossible. We don't see a way. But I have had so many experiences where I'm like, there is no way this could happen. And then it happens. And the way that it happens is completely unknown to me until the moment that it happens, and mind-boggling, right? And that's when you start to realize, yeah, whatever it is. I mean, people have come to me with just off-the-wall things and manifested them, and it's when they really let go of how that they were able to experience it. So for you, you may want to experiment for yourself and just be like, if I were to like let go of the how and just really want to know for sure that anything is possible, I want to know that for myself. That's a desire that you have, right? Like you can have that knowledge without having to experience every single thing in the existence. So just be like, I want to know that like Amy knows that, or other manifestors know that. Skip how you get there and make that one of your own manifestations. I think that'd be great. But yeah. Oh, this is a good question. Emilio, can you talk a little bit about persisting versus detaching? Feels a little bit like a tug of war. Also, can I be cheeky and ask about coaching? I miss it so much. You're the best. Thank you so much. Yeah. So right now I'm not coaching. I am actually working on some stuff behind the scenes that I'm hoping will be really helpful for everybody. And so I'll be making some announcements coming soon, and I'll update everybody on that. And I'm hoping to get back to more YouTube videos here pretty quickly. I had a major life shift recently in the last couple of months, like super positive, super big manifestation. And I'm still, enjoying that and working behind the scenes on stuff. So this is a wonderful question. Can you talk about persisting versus detaching? Years and years ago, I made a video. You are not the only person to ask this question. It's super common. And it is about doing both, but not at the exact same time. The way I explained it then, and I'll use the same example, is your mouth. You use your mouth to eat. So imagine you're eating dinner and you're eating potatoes. You're eating mashed potatoes or a baked potato or something, right? You also brush your teeth, but you don't do it at the same time that you're eating. So you're doing 2 different activities with your mouth at the same time. Or maybe you're kissing or something. Although I did kiss my boyfriend while I was chewing this morning, and he was like, awesome. But anyway, like the point is, right, you can use your mouth for different things, but you don't do it all at the same time. It's the same idea. So what I have found by reversing successful manifestations, natural ones and deliberate ones, is typically when we are persisting and we're focusing, that's when we're deliberately thinking about the thing, right? So think about something you've naturally manifested. And you're like, oh my God, I really want that. And I would love to have that. And maybe your mind is naturally focused on having it. Like when you think about it, it pulls up images in your mind or focus in your mind of you doing that thing. This is especially helpful if you can think back to like when you were younger, maybe like a teenager or something like that, where you experienced something you wanted in school that just didn't seem like it was going to happen, but you wanted it and you could still see yourself in it. That's always a great example if you have one of those. And in that moment, you're thinking about it, right? You're like, oh, I really want that. And then maybe an hour later, you're like, you know what? That's not going to happen. Like, I just need to like get a grip and pretend like it's not going to happen because it's not going to happen. I'm okay. It's going to be okay. Like, da 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 da, right? And you detach. Now, this doesn't contradict your manifestation. That's what I've discovered. And I've looked at it so much. I'm like, it doesn't contradict it. Somehow they go together, right? I don't know why they just do. They go together. So when you're detaching, it's that moment where you're accepting your resistance. You're accepting it hasn't happened yet. You're accepting you don't know how. You're accepting you don't think how. You're accepting that you're going to be okay, even if it doesn't happen, or you're okay that you're not okay. So detaching is releasing the focus and sort of going back and acknowledging what you really think about it. And there's power in that. It's a paradox. That's the releasing part. So you can go back and forth on persisting, which would be continuing to focus, and on detaching on purpose. I've done it many times. When I realized the connection, and I saw this happening naturally with people who didn't know anything about manifesting at all, what I noticed is I'm like, well, let me try it on purpose. So I would focus, and then I'd be like, you know what? Okay, I just focused on it. That felt really good. I'm going to deliberately think about what I really think about it. Well, I don't think it's going to happen. That does suck. I'm going to be okay without it. And I would feel this like different feeling. So I'd have this feeling when I was focusing on it, and it was like, and then this detaching of like, oh, it'll be okay. And somehow those two things kind of went together. It actually doesn't matter which way you do it. You could do the detaching and then the focusing, or the focusing and the detaching. I typically find people do better with the focusing first and then the detaching. That's typical, but you can do it both ways. And then it would manifest. So I'm like, well, clearly detaching doesn't interfere. Clearly you can focus on it and then switch your focus to detaching, which is really focusing on your current experience, if you think about it, and being okay with your current experience without the manifestation. There's a lot of different ways to describe it. And I've used different ways at different times to describe it. But yeah, they go together as like a mechanism. And another way I've taught it is if you are like guitar strings. So there's 6 strings on a guitar, but let's say there were 4 for the example, like a bass guitar. And my 4 steps are the 4 strings, right? And let's say step 1 is 1 string, step 2, step 3, step 4. They strum together automatically. That's the mechanism within you for manifestation. And if you're not getting a manifestation, I say double check those 4 steps, because you may be doing 3 of them perfectly, but if one of them is out of tune, when it strums, the whole chord feels off, right? So my thing is, my steps are really helpful for troubleshooting as well. And they're not meant to become a chore, right? They're meant to be a framework to help guide your focus, to be like, it's okay to focus on detaching. It's okay to sit with my feelings. It's okay to have resistance. So that in those moments where you're not focusing and you're just living your life, that you don't think, oh crap, I got to go back and focus on what I want, because you don't. You know, the persisting part, to answer your question, is, you know, like babies learning how to walk, they're persisting in the goal. They're not persisting in learning how to walk 24/7, right? They do other things in the meantime. So they may get up and try to walk and they wobble and they fall down. They get up and they try to walk and they wobble and they fall down. And then they're like, pick me up. Or they're like, I'm hungry, right? But they keep at it, you know, for a couple of days until they figure it out. And then all of a sudden they're walking. And it's the persistence isn't staying there. The persistence isn't like balls to the wall, do it until you get there, and nonstop like hammer yourself with it or hammer it in. It's more like, I'm going to focus on it when I can. And when I find myself falling on my tush like a baby falling, you know, when it's trying to walk, I'm not going to let that be the end. I'm going to go back to doing this again when I regroup, and I'm going to be okay that I haven't figured it out yet. That's what persisting is in my world. And so detaching is those moments where you're like, I have other stuff to do, or it's okay that I haven't figured it out yet, or oh, it sucks it hasn't happened yet. So detaching is giving yourself that needed space to kind of regroup and get back up. So if you fall down 7 times and you get up 8 times, You may fall down the 7th time and be down for 10 seconds, and you may be down for 10 minutes, and you may just lay on the ground and sleep all night or sleep for a week. It's not about how long you're down. It's about, do you get back up again? That's what persistence is for me. And persistence is just choosing it again, just putting your focus back on it again, choosing yourself again. And I'll tell you this too, when I was in I have found over the years, the number one thing people tell me that resonates with them the most from my content is my stories. That's why I tell them a lot, because they're like, I'll be out and about, something will happen, and I remember your story, and I can remember the sequence of the story, and then they were able to, navigate their own world with their manifestation versus like the technical side. So I'm going to tell the story, hopefully it'll help you remember. I'm going to tell a different story. I had a situation years ago where I was in Seoul, South Korea. I had been there before, and between the gate, between when you check in and go through security and go to the gate, I lost my passport, which had my ticket. I didn't have, it's before they had like the mobile tickets. I had my paper ticket, all my cash, all my credit cards, and all my ID in it. And I clearly, obviously panicked because I'm in a different country. I can't get on the plane. I don't have a ticket. I don't have my passport. I don't have any money. And I knew it had to be somewhere in the airport, right? But like, I'm thinking, like, am I going to find it in time for my flight? So I'm in a panic. And I'm running around trying to retrace my steps to see where I dropped this thing, or I didn't know if someone had taken it. I didn't know what had happened. And I kept imagining being on the plane. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get on the plane, but I'm imagining being on the plane. In the meantime, like, this is coming up very heavily, the resistance. Like, what am I going to do? And I decided to detach. And I was like, what if, I've already imagined it, what if I just chill out for a second? And I stopped where I was, my little roller suitcase, in the middle of the hall, the terminal. And I was like, what am I going to do if this doesn't happen? Like, what is my backup plan? And until that point, I hadn't thought about it because that's what was driving my panic. I didn't have a backup plan. And I thought, okay, well, what's the worst that can happen? I get stuck here. I have to go to the U.S. Embassy. It's going to cost me more money. I don't know what might happen. It's going to be uncomfortable. I might experience things that are fearful. It's going to change my schedule when I get home. I have to get a new passport. I have to cancel all my credit cards. Can I do that internationally? Like, I can call my parents. Like, I started thinking as though it wasn't going to happen. And I got calmer and calmer. And that was just like what was going on in that situation. And I turned around and I walked to my gate instead of retracing my steps because I had done that. So this is natural. Like, this is what people do naturally, right? And I went up to the gate agent and I said, hey, I have a seat, and I lost my passport and my ticket, and I just was going to let you know, and I don't know what the next step is. Because we were boarding in like 5 minutes. And they literally went like, oh, this? And they held up my passport with my ticket sticking out of it. And I said, yeah. And they're like, they opened it up, they double checked it, and they gave it to me. All of my cash was in it. All my credit cards were in it. My passport and my first class ticket. I was also kind of bummed because it was a first class seat. And it was a sleeper seat. And they're like, yeah, someone found it and they saw your gate on the ticket and they brought it over and dropped it off with us. Now, it would have been okay, right? I would have survived it. But it's not about what would have happened. It's about what I was experiencing internally. And so I was persisting for my outcome, and then I was stopped, and I was just like, I have to actually be okay with what's going on in some way, shape, or another. I got to deal with this possibility. And when I did that, the energy shifted. I naturally moved towards where my passport was, strangely enough, and it worked out. And so persisting is something you do when you are choosing again. Detaching is what you do when you're like, I still have to deal with my current reality. And it's okay to deal with your current reality. And it's okay that I don't have my manifestation yet. It's learning how to self-talk to support yourself and encourage yourself in those moments. And it's just like eating. We don't eat and never brush our teeth. We brush our teeth to maintain so that we can keep eating, right? So it's like they're symbiotic in a way. That's the best way I know how to describe it. All right. All right, see. Let's see what else here. Let's see what the next question is. My cat is very interested in the live now because of the squeaky toy. Oh, that's so funny, yeah. My cat is mostly ignoring it, but her ears are back, so she's listening. That's cute. All right, let's see here. I'm going to answer a couple questions and then hop off. This is really helpful. I'm starting to see how I can go from unemployed to employed. Yes, I had quite a bad job last year. Now the new job needs to help me fulfill some other dreams of mine. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. And that was the person who had asked about the job at the beginning or said that they'd not gotten a job interview. Look, I'm going to be honest. Dealing with your current reality sometimes, it sucks, right? And the more I've relaxed and just dealt with it and just done what needs to be done in those moments while also focusing on what I want, the better it's been. The times I've been really raging against my current reality, Rage Against the Machine. I think that's a band from like the 90s. It's like, that's when it's been harder for me. I still got my manifestation. So you can always be like, all right, how can I deal with my current reality in the meantime? Because if you see it as permanent, that's when you're going to feel sort of more stuck. That's a choice. You're habitually maybe thinking it's permanent. But if you start to see it as temporary, you're choosing to see reality as temporary, your situation, your job as temporary, the whatever it is that you're dealing with, being single or, having weight when you want to, be at your ideal weight, whatever it is, if you start to see it as more temporary, it can help. And that's a choice you can make. That's choosing you, right? You're choosing to insert, like, what if it's not permanent? What if it's temporary and I can change it? And that's how it's helped me to deal with current reality along the way. Mina, getting what I want would mean a huge shift in terms of attention. Yes, having more eyes on me, opinions about me, and that scares me a lot. I want to experience it, but in a safe way. I love this. I've had to deal with that being in the public eye, so I totally understand. And what has helped me is dealing with the fear of being seen and choosing unconditional love. The other thing that's really helped me is noticing like huge celebrities, like A-listers, like actors and actresses, and just being like, they're dealing with this every single day. Like, how are they dealing with it? And I've listened to some of them talk. They don't typically talk about that particular thing, but I have listened to some of them and I model after that. So I'm modeling that identity. Success leaves clues. I think it was Jim Rohn said that. I think Tony Robbins says it as well, but Tony Robbins learned from Jim Rohn back in the day. Success leaves clues. So model after someone who has what you want. So look at someone who has a lot of attention and a lot of eyes on them and opinions about you, and do some research and see what they say about it. Like Lady Gaga is a great example. Like, she was, from what I understand, like just harassed in high school for thinking she was going to be the superstar. And I think she has talked about it. She's a deliberate manifester. I've met her. She's very amazing. She's very elegant. So I think she has talked about that. You might want to like do some research. And obviously her success is testament to her being able to handle that. And she did it in her teenage years as well. Before she even made it, she was like, well, whatever. So yeah, you can also put it out as your intention that you just really want to feel safe. That could be your focus for that manifestation in and of itself. So there's the manifestation where you have that attention on you, but there's also a second manifestation where you feel really safe, like you found a way. Skip the how. Let the how be revealed. You don't have to know how yet. Yeah, so like, yeah, I do feel safe. It's safe to be seen. Yeah. Make that its own little manifestation. The dancing carnivorous. Like every time it comes to mind, I just say to myself, yeah, I'm coupled up and the apartment is already sold. Yes. Maybe I missed something you said, but yes. Let me read that again. Every time it comes to mind, just say to myself, yeah, I'm coupled up and the apartment is already sold. Yeah. And then when your mind drifts back, so you're choosing to focus on it, that's correct. And you're daring to do it, that's great. That's what manifesting is. And then your mind drifts back here, don't panic and think something's gone wrong. That's the whole thing of what everyone's doing and why we persist. Just be like, no, I choose for this. I choose to experience this reality. I choose to be this person. I choose to be the version of me that's in a relationship. Sometimes you're going to say it like, I choose to be the version of me that's in a relationship. You know, you're going to feel tense. Other times you're going to be like, yeah, no, I choose that. And you're doing it when you're experiencing this. And that's hard for a lot of people. So be very gentle with yourself. And then you can also speak to yourself like, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. You got this, you know, say your name to yourself. You got this, you can do this. Like one of my friends in the film industry, she always says, I can do hard things. She said that to me before about herself, right? And she said it to me when she's like, you can do hard things. And I was like, you're right, I can. So you can say that to yourself as well. Oh, or if you don't like the word hard, because, you know, that's not something you want to manifest, you could also say something like, you know, you can persist. You can do this. You can get there. Something like that. Okay, I answered a couple of those questions already. I skipped past them. So elated I caught this live. I really needed this way to think about manifesting with I have a choice. Yeah. And I think that's a big thing in the manifesting world. You know, there's so many people being opened up to the idea of deliberate manifesting nowadays. In the last 5 years, I've just seen a huge surge, and it's so wonderful for people to finally be able to step into their power. And because, you know, I was having YouTube videos and coaching long before it was really mainstream, and to see the volume of people waking up to it is incredible. At the same time, even before that, you know, there's things within our own programming, our own ideas, habit mind is a really easy way to say it, that there's moments where we don't feel like we have a choice. And what do we do in those moments? Because it's like you just affirming or visualizing, it feels hard, it feels pointless, it feels difficult, right? And so it's like introducing the choice in that moment is a skill. And I highly recommend it. That's what this whole live is about for persisting is, you know, and always think about the babies learning to walk. You know, they may give up momentarily because they're hungry or they're tired or they found a toy to play with, but they don't give up. You know, they keep going until they figure it out. You've done that. You've done that. You have that in you naturally. All right. All right, let's see here. Oh, I didn't know we were doing a live. Yes. All righty. Perfect. Oh yeah. Okay. Still don't see the comments. Yeah. We're having some sort of a glitch on Instagram with comments not showing up. All right, Xanthony, I have some big news. I landed a side job. Oh my gosh. I had to pause before reading this. I have big news. I landed a side job, not in radio, but in TV. I love the job and want it to become something more. It's only a few hours. I still want a radio job. Do I focus on both? First of all, congratulations. If you don't know, Xanthony is a radio personality and manifested that, and now you have a side job on TV. Congratulations. And yes, I would focus on both. I would see them as separate manifestations. And you could have one identity, you know, like this is who I am. You know, I'm someone who does TV and radio, right? You could do it like that. I'm an influencer, I'm a manifesting coach, but I do lots of different things within that realm. So you could see it like that. Like, so you would have two different targets. The first one would be radio. The second one would be TV, but you would have like a similar, umbrella identity of that's who you are. Like, you're a superstar. I love it. Congratulations. All right. And Charming T, I would love some examples of choices involving money, situations, health, job, and love. Yeah. So let's use money. Money's a big one. We'll do this real quick here. So let's say you're manifesting to jump up in your lifestyle of income. So it's not just like you want like $10,000 as a lump sum, but you want to be making $50,000 more a year, or you want a higher level of lifestyle or something like that. And so you're going to work every day in your physical reality, and it's all like very status quo, right? So your reality is looking like this, and you're over here focusing on like, I'm on yachts and doing shopping sprees, and you're like, I use a calculator to buy beans. You know what I mean? Like you're using two things, you're doing two things at the same time, in a sense. So the choice then is you're at the grocery store and you notice, coffee has gone up $10 and you're like, why is coffee gone up $10? I cannot believe this. Like, I'm over here busting my ass, just trying to make it paycheck to paycheck, and coffee went up. I've been manifesting to be able to buy whatever I want, whenever I want, and the cost of coffee went up. This stuff happens to people. So in that moment, you may think, I don't have a choice, right? Like, this isn't happening as fast as I would like, and I'm here. You would insert a choice and just be like, what if I have a choice to see it differently? Like, I am someone who can afford that. I am someone, so you could do the identity. I am someone who used to buy be frustrated about buying coffee because it went up, and now I could buy as much coffee as I wanted, and I don't care about the price. So you could do identity. But it's introducing the idea, like, you're not powerless in that moment. I choose to see that I can buy as much as I want whenever I want, even though in this exact moment that's not available to me. So you're introducing the choice. You're not trying to make this reality give you more money, right? You're choosing, so you're acknowledging you don't have it in that moment, and that's okay, as you're accepting that. You're just choosing that this is temporary, it's not permanent, and you're choosing this version of yourself, and at some point it will switch. I know a lot of manifesting teachers don't teach it that way. They don't want you to think about this at all. I have found that there are some people who are good at that. They naturally think that way. They can naturally choose this in those moments. And there are other people who, they really struggle with that. And I'm one of the people who struggles with that. It's not easy or natural for me to just ignore this. So you're in good company if you're in either camp, right? And so if you are someone who's like, what is this woman talking about? Like, I can just make my choice. That is fantastic. This information is really for the people who are struggling in those moments to know that they have a choice, and to how to think about it and to self-talk about it and keep it in the mix in case you ever need it. So, but the majority of people I've encountered are more in this camp where it's like, I don't feel like I have a choice. I feel powerless in this moment because nothing is shifting, right? I am not able to choose this. I must be wrong about who I am. That's the moment. I don't have to choose that. Look at it this way. My friend who said, you don't think you're going to win the contest, do you? Was in my physical external reality saying that to me. It's the same thing as seeing coffee's gone up $10. The coffee is saying that to you. The coffee is saying you don't have enough money. The coffee is saying you can't afford it, right? It doesn't have to be something verbally saying it, but it's something either externally or internally saying that to you, that you then want to insert the choice and be like, no, I choose to be someone who succeeds. I choose to be someone. Lady Gaga did it. She had, her external reality was like, you're not a superstar, and everyone's telling you that, or a lot of people were telling her that, and that she was harassed for it. Well, she was like, I'm not gonna listen to that. She kept choosing who she was. She didn't give a hoot what other people were thinking, is my guess. Or if she did, she found a way to deal with it. And she kept choosing this and choosing this and choosing this and choosing this, and she did not let this define her or what was possible for her, right? So that's the idea. So with love, if you've been single for a long time, so what? Choose to be someone who's in a relationship. If you've been someone who only attracts certain type of relationships, so what? You attract great relationships now. If you have had more weight on you than you wanted, and maybe your whole life, so it's not permanent. You can still choose to be at your ideal weight. I do recommend for weight loss. I don't typically work with people about weight loss. I mean, most people don't come to me for that. But what I will say is a great focus for that is not weight loss. I've seen this happen with several of my friends who have gotten to the weight that they wanted. When they stopped focusing on weight loss as their wording, and they started focusing on, I'm thin, I'm at my ideal weight, I fit into my skinny pants, my skinny clothes, that's when they got there. So their focus was more on where they were going versus what they were trying to get away from. And I can tell you that with becoming debt-free for 12 years, when I was trying to get out of debt, when I switched my focus to being debt-free, that's when I built a lot of momentum up, and it actually happened for me. Also, when I quit smoking, I was trying to quit smoking. I need to quit smoking. I need to quit smoking. I smoked cigarettes back in my teenage years. I need to quit smoking. When I switched it to, I'm a non-smoker, I don't smoke anymore, which made no sense. I literally had a cigarette in my hand when I was saying that to myself. It was very quick. It was a couple months and it switched. Because again, it's more target-based, right? So it's like, I'm a non-smoker, I quit smoking, I'm debt-free, I'm at my ideal weight, I got my skinny jeans on, I am thin, I have a bikini body, whatever it is. That wording is stronger in your focus because it's very laser focused than trying to get away from something negative. Little Miss Nayabi. Amy is so cute. I adore her. She made me manifest 400 plus things with her advice in all areas of my life. Big arigato. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Congratulations to you. You did the work. And when I say work, like you put your mind to it, you experimented with it. It's not really work. And if you can, remind yourself, everybody, to have fun with this. Like, go manifest other things. Like, we're doing a challenge in my paid subscribership right now where it's like, I've seen this over and over again with so many clients. No judgment. I never have any judgment because typically if I talk about something, I have done it myself many times. And I had to catch myself. When somebody comes to me or coaching or they're just working on one big thing, the thing they have the most habitual focus against their manifestation or in a different direction, and they're not interested in playing around with manifesting, they're not interested in experimenting with it. I've literally had people be like, I don't want a rainbow, I don't care. And they mean it. It's not like they're being, weird about it. It's just like they truly don't care to manifest a rainbow. They want their thing. And I get it. I've been there. It's like, I'm like, but the people who are also manifesting rainbows, 4-leaf clovers, free, like good parking spaces, free tickets to things, free drinks, those are people who are gaining momentum faster. Like, it's like those little ones carry the day for that bigger thing because you're getting that constant feedback that it's working. And so it's like even if these things are, the little things are closer to already being in your dominant identity or dominant habit mind, it's like if you're getting like 10 or 20 a week or a month and you're working on this, it's like, well, I know it works, and it helps you persist with that. So it actually is one of the best ways to keep persisting on the bigger thing is to keep playing around with things you just literally don't care about as an experiment. And also you learn what doesn't work. One of the best teachers is failure, is, well, I manifested a free ice cream and I didn't get one. It's weird. Why didn't that happen? Your mind will start to be like, oh, I didn't really think about it that much. I didn't really want it. Or you start to see why things don't work on little stuff you don't care about. So I love that you did this, that you got those 400. I'm gonna see if I can screenshot this actually. All right, did that make me go away? I don't know what happened. That comment. So thank you. 400 things, your advice, and I missed a little bit. It really comes across how much you care to make us understand. Yeah. And I really want to share this information. I've talked to some of my friends recently about it. They're like, why are you so determined to share this information with people? And I'm like, what's the point of me knowing it and not sharing it? Like, like it took me forever to figure it out. I want you guys to know how it works and to give you shortcuts, because it's a lot. It's a lot of experimenting and, you know, as I've gone through my own processes, I found easier and easier and easier ways to do it. And I'm like, well, let's just pass it along, you know, share it, pass it forward, pay it forward, please. Hello, and wanted to say thank you from Spain. Hello, hola. I've been fortunate to have found you since my years in Japan. You've helped this stranger out so much. Thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you. That's so sweet. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm gonna screenshot that too. I don't know if it paused. I think it does pause me. Sorry about that. All right. And I'll answer this one last question, then I'm gonna have to hop off because it's almost at 2 hours. And I appreciate all the other questions. I'm just not gonna be able to have time to get to them today. Jenny, when the SPU met, said the negative thing to me. Was there something in my habit mind that caused that? Yeah, probably. I'm not sure what's in my focus that it could have caused it. Okay, so most of you probably won't know this. I met Jenny, she lives near me, and I met her specific person that she was manifesting back in the fall. And, her situation turned out where he said something negative to her and she decided not to manifest him anymore, which is totally valid. So she's asking, did something in her habit mind cause that? Because she's not sure what she could have focused on that caused it. Yeah, typically that's what's going on. So one of the things that is a skill that you can get better at, and I'm still getting better at it on certain subjects, is a habit is automatic and often unconscious. You're not really aware of it. And I will tell this story about my coffee maker. You may have heard this. A few years ago, I moved my coffee maker from one side of my kitchen to the other side. The two counters are across from each other. I did this on purpose. I was excited about it. And the next morning, I came down to my kitchen and I went straight to where it used to be. And it wasn't there. And I turned around. I moved the coffee maker. I did this for like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks straight. And I would be going down the stairs. The coffee maker is on the other side of it's on the other side of the kitchen. Don't go to where it used to be, because I became aware that my body was in an automatic habit of years of living there, of going to where it used to be. And I'm like talking to my body, like, let's go to a different part of the kitchen. And I would still end up on the wrong side of the kitchen. And it became so comical. And I'm like, that's the habit mind. My habit was to go there. I had to break the habit. I think it's Joe Dispenza that has that book, Breaking the Habit of Being You. I have not read that book, so I'm sure a lot of you have or whatever, but I haven't read it. If you get an opportunity to check it out, like, let me know how it goes. But that's the title of his book, Breaking the Habit of Being You. This is not personal towards us. This is not something wrong with you or something wrong with me. This is not something you're doing wrong. This is not something faulty about you. This is the automatic habit mind, which from my personal experience has a function. And that function is to relieve you of having to consciously direct everything all day, every day. So you get something automated, right? Like a dishwasher is automated. So you don't have to do the dishes anymore. It frees up your time. Or cars are automated, so you don't have to like feed your horses when we did horses and buggies and stuff like that, and carriages. Automation of the habit mind is that, and in my opinion, it's neutral. And again, James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, will be really helpful for understanding this from the habit point of view. It's understanding how your mind is operating. He's specifically talking about goal setting. But again, it is a foundational book that I recommend to a lot of people to understand why you're focusing on something on purpose and you end up in an opposite situation. And then the solution is to persist. That is the solution. So yes, something was in your habit mind, more than likely, and you weren't totally aware of it. And that moment made you aware of it. So it made you aware of the habit. And you, at that point, you have a choice, right? You could choose to continue on with that manifestation. A lot of people do, a lot of people don't. It's personal preference. And it wasn't worth it for you in that moment to move forward. And I know why, because, you know, your other SP was the one that you really wanted. So that makes a lot of sense. And you can go back and dissect that if you want. You can do it now. Just look at it very neutrally and don't look at it as like, you know, what's wrong with me? Just be like, why would that manifest when I was doing my focusing? And sort of sit with it, maybe write it out, maybe journal it. It's not to deep dive into it. It's just to let some answers bubble up, to bring them from the unconscious into the conscious. But what's interesting is you already found out, because you and I had actually discussed that in a different live, I think, where you realized a few things, you know, and those realizations came from that experience. So then in that moment, you're at a choice point in where you can continue on to persist with that manifestation, or you could switch gears, and you decided to switch gears, which is perfectly fine. But yeah, that's typically what's happening. And so your physical reality is feedback to help you to make adjustments. My 4 steps can help you walk through where your focus can be adjusted. And you know, I've had stuff before where I'll get feedback and it's just like, oh, I guess I didn't want that as much as I thought I did, or I didn't want it enough to persist with it. And I've gotten some variation of it later. Or I've also investigated and reworked it. I've had several big manifestations over the years. I like flat out failed the first time or two I tried them. Like failed, like fell flat on my face. And was shocked because of all the focus that I had done. And after I fell down, picked myself up, and brushed myself off, and made the choice to refocus, I used that what was the difference between these things? Like, what was really going on? Like, you know, and when I did that, I was able to make an adjustment in my focus and get my manifestation. So, yeah, something was going on in the habit mind, that unconscious mind. And I love my coffee pot story because it's so ridiculously comical. It's like me like cruising down my stairs every morning, like, you know, it's on the left, it's on the left, it's on the left, it's on the left, and still ending up on the right side of my kitchen. And being like, why am I standing over here? I literally was going to the left. And eventually I broke it. And now I can't imagine that it was on the right anymore. So, you know, and that's something ridiculous. It's like a coffee pot. So imagine if it has something that has a little more oomph to it, a little more emotion to it. And that's where persisting can feel hard, because it feels like, oh my God, like I literally told myself, I literally know where the coffee pot is. Why am I not going there? Be gentle. Everybody be gentle with yourself, please. It was easy for me with the coffee pot because it's a very low stakes situation and I wasn't upset with myself. It was funny. But on other subjects, it can be a big deal. Money, love, health, relationships, family, you know, lifestyle, you know, we're harder on ourselves. So be very gentle with yourself. Choose to be the person that's gentle with yourself as you move forward with these things. But yeah, it is often in the habit mind. And that's usually where I go looking for it. Like, why did I experience it that way? And like I said, you know, Bridget had helped me with that. A lot of people helped me. I have a lot of really good people in my life that were helping me with my last big manifestation, and they all get so much credit and everything. But she heard it. She heard it. I was like, things just don't work out for me in this area. And she was like, yeah, but how many times have you said that? And I was like, what do you mean? It's a fact. She's like, well, yeah, it doesn't matter if it's a fact. It's temporary unless you make it permanent. So stop saying it. And I did. I stopped saying it, and it worked. I started saying the opposite, even though my whole life had been the opposite. And it happened very quickly after that, within like 2 months, I think, maybe 2.5, which is fast for what I'd been working on. So, but I made that choice. Am I going to be the person who chooses to repeat that? Or am I going to be the person who chooses to dare to think otherwise? And to end this all on how to choose yourself, choose your dreams. In that moment, you know, when she told me that, you know, I realized she was right, and it was still daunting. It wasn't like, oh my God, thank you so much, I got this. It was like, oh, can I actually do this? Like, can I actually switch this? Because she's right, I am saying that. Not only am I saying it, I'm thinking it, I'm living it, I'm believing it, I'm buying into it. And I was able to persist in that manifestation, which is a relationship that I'm in, simply because I, in that moment, said, I'm worth it. Because sometimes the thing we're manifesting isn't worth it, right? You know, it's too exhausting, it's too big, or it's not that it's not worth it. It's like we feel like it's not worth it. But in that moment, I'm like, I'm worth it. It's worth it, and I'm worth it. And that's where I was able to persist. And then I did that self-talk. Amy, you can do this. You got this. You've changed your thinking before. You've changed your wording before. This is temporary. Like, I did a lot of self-talk to boost myself up. And then I went back to focusing. I'd been focusing when that experience happened. This huge moment that looked like I was not going to get what I wanted in any way, shape, or form. I'd been focusing on everything I wanted, and then this popped up. And I made that adjustment in my thinking. Someone was there to be able to point it out to me. And then that was it. I got what I wanted. And what's ironic is when I got the relationship, when I got the manifestation, things I had imagined before that point played out. Beautiful things, wonderful things. Those things didn't just evaporate into nothing. It's like they were like in a holding pattern waiting to come in until they had, like, I was fully in that space where I could experience them and I wasn't speaking against my manifestation so much. So, but again, you don't need to be perfect, right? So it's back to the Tom Karen content. It's, you can umbrella it, go big identity, and just be like, I'm already that which I desire to be. And I don't have to do anything for this to happen. And then if you like my steps, you can include them to kind of pinpoint what you don't need to change. I don't need to change my reality. It doesn't need to be different. Circumstances don't need to be different. My feelings don't need to be different. I can have resistance. I don't need to believe it will happen. That's where you can like be more specific if you need to, touch base with those types of things. So, well, this has been wonderful. I'm going to hop off. Thank you so much for all of you being here. And just for the next 7 days, just be like, I'm going to choose who I listen to. I'm going to choose who I interact with about my manifestation. I'm going to choose me. I'm going to choose the people that support that align with that. I'm not going to choose to engage with the people who don't, because that's what choosing is. And introducing the idea that you even have a choice in the first place. And be very gentle with yourself. I think there's a lot of free content, if you're interested in that, for James Clear's Atomic Habits book, because it's been out for a while and it was a huge bestseller. So you can Google that. And I will post a link to the books that I mentioned after this is available. So this should be available on Instagram pretty quickly after this. And then I'm going to download it and post it on YouTube soon at some point. But check out those books if you're interested. All right. Happy manifesting, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.